you can call me a conspiracy theorist, but I think a guy like Justin Trudeau is watching that happening in China right now. And despite the fact that he's saying all the right things, we know what he did to his truckers and the protesters when they wanted to open up Canada. And I think he's watching going, boy, it's possible if they uprise against me again that Apple will help me shut down their phones. That would be pretty sweet. Like they're running a little test over there. But Kyle, real quick, can you elaborate on what you sent us right before the show? This interview with Tim Cook that just broke, because it's pretty telling of everything that's going on here.
Right. I was keeping an eye on Tim Cook. Any news with him being confronted by reporters, and Hillary Vaughn over at Fox Business essentially confronted. And was there when Tim Cook was asked 3 different questions.
Mr. Cook, do you support the Chinese people's right to protest? Do you have any reaction to the factory workers that were beaten and detained for protesting COVID lockdowns? Do you regret restricting AirDrop access that protesters used to evade surveillance from the Chinese government? Do you think it's problematic to do business with the Communist Chinese Party when they suppress human rights?
He didn't even respond when he said, do you support the Chinese people's right to protest? And then, do you regret restricting the AirDrop access that protesters use to evade surveillance from Chinese government? Completely silent. I think that really this shows that feels like he is under duress to kowtow to the CCP. And he doesn't want to criticize them. And, look, it goes beyond corporations in this country. We're seeing politicians, high level, and officials. We saw the DOD Spox the other day was asked at a press conference about this. And he said the protesters speak for themselves. He couldn't stand with them. It was really unbelievable. So I think we're seeing the elites, whether they're corporatists, or CEOs, in our Defense Department, they're on the same page. They're basically on the same page with Communist China, as we saw, and not to get too far afield, but we saw recently with the geofence data on January 6th, the FBI using NSA databases to track U.S. citizens. They're using the Chinese-style surveillance in the U.S. right now. I think we've seen some recent articles that show that. Right. And literally millions of people in the United States have TikTok on their phone, which we know is a spy app. And Eric Swalwell slept with a Chinese spy. Everyone knows that, too. And he's still in Congress. Melissa, do we have any leverage over China to do anything about this, whether it's influencing Apple to, help the protesters or at least not harm the protesters, or anything else maybe related to Taiwan or anything? Or are we just we're bit players in China's game almost at some level?
Well, one of the drawbacks of globalization that we don't talk about is that when our markets were interlinked, it became really hard for our country and companies in our free country to actually stand up for its values. So we saw that with the NBA. It was on such stark display. And what we have instead is that instead of exporting our model of political freedom to China, it was the other way around. They exported their brand of censorship and their way of life almost. We saw that with lockdowns.